To start our insane noon window, we got a lot of important noon games. We got UCLA, who's 3-4, traveling to number 2 Indiana, who's 7-0. Indiana favored by 25.5 points on Fox. That is a lot of points. Nico Iamaleava for the Bruins, gone 135 at 207, thrown for 1,355 yards, 10 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Also leads the team on the ground with 74 carries for 360 yards and 4 touchdowns. Quasi Gilmer has had 30 catches for 369 yards and 2 touchdowns. Fernando Mendoza has gone 133 at 181, thrown for 1,755 yards, 21 touchdowns to 2 interceptions, and has got to be a front runner for Heisman. I mean, he has just played just out of his mind great. Kalen Black said 72 carries for 439 yards and 3 touchdowns, and Elijah Surratt said 43 catches for 603 yards and 9 touchdowns. Indiana's 1-0 against the Bruins all time. They played last year. They won 42-13 on the road against at UCLA. Cignetti is 1-0, obviously, in his tenure at Indiana against the Bruins. Okay. Very important game you're going to talk about here is UCLA is such a weird team, right? Because they do have 4 losses. This is a team with a losing record right now. And as unlikely as it may be, UCLA only sits at 3-1 in conference and plays both the undefeated. They play Indiana this week and they play Ohio State later. It is a very hard stretch to imagine UCLA winning out. But if they win out and win the Big Ten championship, is that a playoff team? I think there's an argument for yes, and I think there's an argument for no. Obviously, you have big wins over Ohio State and Indiana, both likely college football playoff teams, even if they lose to UCLA. And now, again, this is a very big stretch of the imagination. But if you imagine the Mountain West champion is like UNLV with only 1 loss, or even like Boise State, I mean, the Mountain West kicked UCLA's ass. Like, New Mexico and UNLV both beat them pretty handily. I think you got to let in the Mountain West champ. Like, at that point, like, if you're talking about your teams went 2-0 against the Bruins, I find it hard for me to go like, yeah, you don't deserve to make it in. This 8-4 squad does. I think there's an argument for both sides. Obviously, this is a scenario that likely isn't going to happen, but if it did happen, it'd be very interesting. Indiana, as a team, I think is probably one of my bigger locks for the college football playoffs. I feel a similar way about Ohio State. They only play one more team with a winning record down the stretch. That road trip to Maryland next week actually has serious upset potential. Again, if you look at Maryland, they've lost 3 straight, all of them just like absolute heart-wrenching ways to lose football games. It's not a bad football team right there. UCLA has been playing some really good ball, and I think this game has the possibility of being really close. The Bruins are playing really great. I still like the Hoosiers. I think the Hoosiers are the second best team in the nation. They have inarguably the best resume in college football with that win against Oregon, and not a single team has a better win. You could argue maybe Bama's win over Georgia, but definitely they don't have a better resume than Indiana, who is unblemished, and Alabama has a loss to a 4-loss squad. As of right now, that could easily end up getting worse and not better for the Noles. Give me the Hoosiers to win, but I do like the Bruins to cover that 25.5 point spread.